Thai Club Student Corner.
Knee kick position. So again, we came out, he's got that wrist control. We elbow over, high underhook, we've got a head fight position. Now if their knee's in place here, boom, we go straight from there with our knee kick. I'll just switch your stance on me. But imagine now I can't get to that leg. Yeah, so that's where I'm going to circle him around, crack that whip to break the grip, level change, drive my head past the leg, and I should end up inside control here. So this is where we're going to go. So anytime we've got this far side underhook here, this arm's exposed. Okay, so the first attack we're going to do from here requires not that much movement, and then we'll go into actually transitioning around the body. So the first one from here, I'm going to take this hand, that's the underhook, and I'm going to wrap it around to the far side of my head, just to take away the space. Once I've done that, I've still got my crossface, and that can be deep. I can be on his lap, pulling him in and really driving, putting heavy pressure. But for now, we're just going to hold it like this, so we've got a bit of base. So I control the arm. I'm going to go knee on the belly, and then once I've done that, I'm going to posture up. And as I do, you see I'm bringing Young up with me. Okay, so the idea is I want to try and straighten this arm as I sit up here. The blade of my wrist is going to slide down his tricep until I'm just above his elbow joint. Okay, and I want my thumb pointing in because his elbow, that's the direction that I'm going to get my break. Okay, so I want to have it going against his thumb, basically. That's going to lead the way that I want to go. So I'm pushing in at his pinky or the thumb, the opposite direction. So I've got takedown, I knee picked him, I got him to here. First things first, control his posture by putting my knee on the belly. I'm controlling the arm, I've got my crossface. As I slide up, I extend. I'm going to pinch the shoulder so I trap his hand. Gable grip here, and all I'm doing is bringing my hands to my chest and my head forward. And I'm getting a nice cutting armbar. So what you'll get is a bit of a tricep crush, especially if you use the blade, and you'll also get the hyperextension on the elbow. If you don't have the sensitivity and you're struggling to feel where the elbow is, you can literally use your hand. Okay, so imagine I put the knee on the belly, I'm here. As I come up, I can actually hold. And now I can do the same break, I just don't get quite as much pain. I still get leverage for the elbow, but I don't get the tricep crush. Okay, so this position here, I can still get the armbar, but it's not quite as painful as this. Okay, so we've got our side control off of our knee pick, we've got our crossface deep, we're holding the lat, pulling him in. Underhook, control the arm, knee on the belly so he can't move, posture up, pinch, and then finish on the arm straight from there. We got a nice, very fast armbar position here. Again, same thing, I'm going to wrap tight and I'm going to control that far arm. Now my hand, that's my crossface hand, is going to come out and I'm going to push his biceps straight down to the floor, bring my knee in, so my north knee comes in, so that I can staple his shin to the floor. Okay, his arm to the floor with my shin. Okay, now depending on what the rules are and your belt rank and things like that, sometimes if you've got this arm controlled you can wrist lock them. If you've got a really nice grip here, especially if it's kind of up like that, where his elbow can't go anywhere because it hits the floor. So sometimes we've got nice wrist locks there, but say we can't do that. Now I'm going to switch my shin position. So the one that's got control, it extends down towards his wrist. My south leg here is going to tuck in and take over. Okay, so there shouldn't be a point where there's nothing on his arm. However, there should be a point where there's everything on his arm. So I should have one point where both of my legs are in control, and then it'll be one in control. And then again, if both in control, one in control. But it will never be this. Okay? Not that you can't do things from this position here, it's just that he can do more with a free arm than he can with an arm that's pinned. Okay? So we've got into side control. I'm here like this, and he's often trying to get that forearm on my hip anyway. Yeah, so now I'm going to pin it, knee comes in, shin staples his arm to the ground. I'm going to go back to my crossface. Now that I've got control, I switch my leg position. This will do two things. One, it makes it really hard for him to get me in half guard. If I stay this way, this leg is close. Okay, he might still be able to trap this leg and start to get his guard back. Okay, so by having this one through and tucked in, makes it really hard for him to get half guard because there's basically no foot there. He's not going to get half guard on my knee. Okay. The other thing that switching now does is when I get to the finish for my armbar, it puts my leg in a better position to finish and reduces his risk of escape. So now I've got control here in this topside crucifix. I'm going to push his head in with my elbow so I can step over and put my knee on the floor. I'm trying to be as small as possible. You'll see some people step, and you can do that. I'm not saying it's wrong, but now there's a lot of space. Young's not a very big guy compared to me, so he doesn't need much space to escape. Okay, this is enough for Young to maybe get out, especially if my grips aren't great. Sorry, man, bicep. Sorry, mate. Got any shin, cutting off his bicep. Whereas now, if I come over, I push his head in and drop my head, my knee onto the floor beside his head. Now his head's got way less chance of moving. Okay, so much less chance for him to escape. Post on the floor, I'm going to put my elbow into his ribs. Okay, I want, at this point here, I'm controlling this arm, and I want Young thinking about his ribs breaking here, not about me breaking his arm. Okay, I'm distracting him. So I post, I put my elbow into his ribs. You can see him wiggling because it's uncomfortable. I hook his tricep, and now this shin is going to slide behind his back and then point up at the roof. So I've got my weight on here, slide, 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 and I end up here. Knees pointing up towards the roof. I'm not sitting like this, where he can turn in. Okay, so this leg goes all the way up to the roof, and I'm pulling in. You can see now, because of that position that I had with my shin, I've now got his head trapped with my leg. If I hadn't kept the other position with my shin position safe in his arm, I'd end up here. And this isn't wrong. Again, it doesn't mean there's not, I can't finish, but if Young's arm is under my leg, he can push my leg off, come up, take away the pressure free, way easier than if his arm can't get under my leg. Okay, or if it takes more effort to work to get it to there. Okay, so again, I've done my knee kick, I've got my arm control. He gets a strain on my hip, come in, staple, I control, switch my shins. Now from here, push his head in, step over tight, post, all of my weight goes into his ribs, and now I transfer this weight off this knee, spin, come down, and I'm trying to finish with the crook of my elbow. Okay, I want his thumb taken up. If I feel like his thumb's this way, I turn that way with my elbow. You can go palm to palm, but now you're risking potentially a bicep walk. And I'd rather use here a back against bicep fight. Okay, and then so once more, a little bit quicker. Side control, wrap, he goes to put it in. I go frame, control, switch my shins, push his head in so there's no space. And I'm here for my finish on the arm. So now, same thing as before. I'm going to control his head, take away the space. I push his head in so I don't have to lift my leg as far. Okay, if Young's head's up or away or whatever, then I've got to lift my leg all the way over. So if I jam it in tight, it's only a small step. Okay, distract him, slide. Now here he grabs his hands together. Yeah, so now here, I'm trying to do this, but I've got this position here. Not having this leg across his body is not the end of the world. However, we can make it a little bit tighter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my arms. So my other arm comes through, and I hold my own thigh. Take my first hand out. Now I'm going to lean to the side. As I lean though, this leg that's on his head, I'm going to put it on his face, and I'm going to start to weigh on his head so that I can take this leg here and slide it across his stomach and get it across his body, then I come up. I want to be tight. If I'm here and I just try to lift my leg over, Young will catch you in half guard. Boom, and now it's really hard to finish the armbar with my legs this far apart. Okay, however, when I get to here, I switch my arm because now I can lean this way and create an opening. So now Young get me in half guard. Right up high on his stomach. It's much harder for him to trap it. Now I come back. Okay. Now from here I might try and finish. Usually at this point, he will have shored up his grip. So he'll go to his bicep. Other way. Yep, there we go. And then this hand will go under my leg. So he'll dig that in there. So now I'm pulling against my own leg plus both of his arms. Okay, so now it makes it really, really hard for me at this position here. I've got this position here, I'm going to change my arm back again. Through. Now here we often focus so much on what's happening with the leg and the arm that we forget what the actual problem is. The problem is Young's hand is in the crook of his elbow. So rather than trying to get this off and pull this out and do all these fancy things or switch completely to the other side and armbar the other arm, all I need to do is get his hand out of the crook of his elbow. So I can do that two ways. I can get his hand out or I can get his elbow off his hand. So all I'm going to do here is put a little bit of pressure on, hold under his elbow, push and pull. And then straight away, I sit back and finish. It's probably one of the easiest grip breaks, especially in no-gi, one of the easiest ones you'll ever do. Okay, so I've done my arm lock, just go palm to palm for a sec. Yep, so we've done our first armbar and we've finished off in this position here, he's holding. So I'm going to switch, pinch everything, squash his head, slide my foot across his stomach. He gets his hand all the way through. Yeah, now you see this angle isn't right. If I push here, I'm actually making his elbow bend more and I'm trapping his hand deeper. So that's where I switch again. I go elbow to elbow. Now from here I can hold my own leg. I put a bit of tension on and all I do is I just go boom as I lean back, straight to my elbow and then finish. Okay. So again, we're inside, he frames on the hip. Trap, come through, switch if I can or if I want to, fish, come here, bicep, wrist. If I can't, come over, push the head through, pin, stay tight, here he holds, trying to get it, it's not working. Switch my hands, squash his head, lean, 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 get my leg across. He gets his hands in, so I switch back again, hold, put a bit of tension, I just look at where I'm going to hit right on the elbow, palm strike, boom. Catch the elbow on the wrist here, so I've got his thumb controlled, so now if he tries to turn his hand and get out, much harder, and then finish.
Thank you very much.
Okay, last little bit, once Anthony's finished, that's alright mate, we'll let you go through the motions. Good. Alright, so now once we get to that armbar position, we've already been doing some illegal stuff, so we're going to do some more. So now we're going to attack them with a leg lock from the armbar, which is going to sound really weird, but they're so preoccupied by what's going on up here that often they forget about what's going on down here. Okay, and that's what we're going to attack. So let's just shortcut or bastardise the move for a second. So I've got into this position here with Young. Okay, and my first step before I've got that leg across, I'm in this spot here. Okay, now you can do this on either or when it comes to legs, and you can do it both across or behind. Okay, so it's up to you where you want to do this from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it so that my north, again my hand's closest to his head, that's the one that's controlling, elbow to elbow, because this again, it reduces the amount of effort I have to use as opposed to trying to hold here, where I'm using this whole lever, this whole bicep. When I'm in here, it takes much less to hang onto his arm. Okay, it's much tighter. Now, as I said, he's often not thinking about what's going on down here. Okay, and what a lot of time people, well, he's sort of thinking about here for one purpose, and that's as soon as this grip breaks, he's going to try and roll away from me and escape. Yeah, especially if I don't have this across his body. If Young's grip goes, he's going to think, I'm going to run away, I'm going to turn up, I'm going to come out, and I'm going to be on top, and now it's payback. Okay? So he's not really paying attention. He's not really paying attention to his legs in the sense what I'm doing to them. He's kind of thinking what he's going to do. Okay? So one thing that we can do, and this is regardless of whether or not we're actually going to attack his legs, we can hook the leg here so that he can't run away. Okay, so now imagine that his grip breaks and I've got this. So now when Young tries to run off, much harder. Okay, now I can do it again, this leg, or I can hook through the far leg and hold this one as well. And again, he can't now roll away from me when that grip goes. Okay, now again, I could have this position, so I could be here, or I could be here as well. Doesn't really matter. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be selling him on this armbar. I'm holding. He just thinks I'm just hanging on to this so he can't roll out. Or he might think I'm trying to stop him from coming up, things like that. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly switch. So I'm going to do a little bit of a hip switch so I'm facing his legs. And if I've got my knee across his whole body here, I'm going to drive my shin between his legs so that my foot hooks onto his hip. Okay? If my leg is here and I'm like this, I'm going to do the same thing. It's just that this foot comes out and hooks in front here. Okay? Once I've done that, so whether I was here or whether I was on the inside, once I've done that, now I'm going to let go of the arm completely and it's going to go under his foot. So again, my arm is going in between his legs. Okay? And that's kind of important for the end step. You can just grab it here, but I'm going to show you why in a second. As I reach, so I'm going to fall on my shoulder as I'm reaching, and now I'm going to cross my foot behind his butt cheek, and I use my elbow now to come back, and I've got this, it's basically an armbar on his knee now. So now I'm going to be hyperextending the knee. So I've got this hooked on his hip, I've got this controlling his bum on this side, I'm pinching my knees together, and anytime you finish an armbar or a knee bar where it's underneath your armpit, much stronger, much harder for them to turn the angle and get out. And now I finish exactly like I would for my armbar. I just arch my hips forward as I lean back, and I've got my knee bar. Okay, you can finish here, like this, but in this position here, if Young can turn his foot, then it's going to be much harder for him to get finished. Okay, whether he rolls up on top of me, turns it down, or whether he rolls up and changes the angle, much harder. So if I can get to this position here where I lock it under my armpit, now I can finish much better on that knee bar. Okay, so side control the frames, block, 1, 2, step over, come to here and I can hook. Okay, now if I'm going to do this bottom leg or the inside leg like that, same thing, I just hook inside his groin here instead now. Okay, so rather than going all the way to the far hip, if I'm doing the near hip, it's the near side. Okay, now this leg, instead of going around the outside, goes in between. So I fall, goes in here. Okay, my leg comes out, hinge, knee bar. Okay, if I'm on the overside, so I'm on this one and I've got my leg all the way through, it falls here, swims, hooks, and then knee bar just there. You don't even have to hang on, all you need to do is use your lat to sort of pinch his ankle down, and then it skips forward. There. And so I'll do once more. He's bending, so